first?
I would like to do solid waste first, with y'all's permission, if that's okay. I hope my epistle hasn't become too wordy, but I've been, as Charlie says, hinted. What I've been hinting at, I tried to put into words and provide you with the exhibits or documentation to prove to you that what I'm saying is factual.
I don't have a problem with increasing the rates.
Well, I guess I can take the hint.
If you don't, Mr. Chairman, that's what I meant to say.
Well, I know it's going to probably create some anguish for you all, but if I, due to my circumstances, I intended to make this presentation to you last year and couldn't do it, but the rates that we charge on the scales, that's where the inequity in solid waste is, and it's where we're actually losing money if we take all of our overhead costs and things and put it in. And the examples that I've given you, first of all, our rates are the same, been the same for 11 years. And our cost for disposal has been going up every year since Charlie's first year in office, where we had to negotiate and renew the contract with Advanced Disposal. And if I had been any kind of manager, I would have probably recommended that we, instead of doing it all in one fell swoop the way I'm recommending now, that we would have increased them every year, but we haven't done that. But anyway, you see what is happening, or what has happened around the area of scale chargers. Everybody is charging more, substantially more than we are. Pickens County just discontinued their acceptance of construction and demolition waste on the 1st of July of this year, because it's at best it's a break-even proposition when you take everything into consideration. But my recommendation to you is that we increase the rates from 6 cents a pound that we are currently charging, and we eliminate the bulk item charge or charges that we have, and we just simply go across the board with 14 cents a pound rate. And that means that if somebody comes in with a mattress, box spring, sofa, chair, or anything, it's weighed and disposed of in the dumpster, and we don't have these bulk rate charges. We just charge by the pound. It makes it simpler also for our scale operator, because he or she They simply go by the scales, by the weight, and things of that nature. Where we lose so much, folks, is these bulk items, when they go into a 40 cubic yard container, they take up so much space. So you may have a ton of waste in a container, and that you have earned very little revenue off of. And it's going to cost us more money than what we actually receive as disposal.
And they'll have
But-
to pull it faster, et cetera, et cetera.
I'm sorry,
And then
Karleen?
they'll have to pull it.
Yeah.
It'll be full. And they'll
Yeah,
pull
if
the
you,
full
if
charge.
you see there, currently we're paying per pull $99.30 every time they pull a dumpster, plus $39 in a nickel per ton. And, as I said, if it's got mattresses, box springs, sofas, and things like that in there, you don't have any weight to speak of in there, and you can't compact it down. So anyhow, but I'm a little bit presumptuous because I have, the budget that I'm going to present to you in solid waste is based on these new rates. And I have a breakdown example that right behind the memo that shows you the current fees, and it shows you what the new fees at 14 cents a pound will be. And it also shows you what will be our cost in 2021 for disposing of that waste.
Okay, we're down at 6 cents a pound,
Yes, sir.
so your schedule here, $3.60 for 40 pounds, that's really not.
Well, yes, now, we have a minimum charge at 40 pounds. In other words, if somebody comes in, Hubert, with 40 pounds or less, then we have a minimum charge of $3.60.
How about it's 350?
Is it $3.50? Maybe it was.
I think it's 350, that's a typo.
But I'm proposing that we go to $5.60 for that minimum charge. And as far as solid waste is concerned, folks, I know you hear a lot of anguish and gnashing of teeth about the $1 a bag charge. That's not where our problem is, because we're using compactors to compact that waste. So we're able to get more into a dumpster, a compactor, where it's squished in than we can in those open-top C and D dumpsters, we call
I was thinking you were talking going to 12 cents, you're talking 14.
14.
That's more than double.
Yes, 2 cents. But let me, yes. But Hubert, as I explained in the memo, what you have facing you at the end of 21, the existing contract with advanced disposal is up. And we will either be negotiating a new contract with them, or we'll be putting it out to bid. And again, based on surrounding areas, things like that, prices are going to continue to go up. They just won't.
That would be a basis for increasing it then.
Pardon?
That would be a basis for increasing it.
Well, we're actually going 2 cents more than what Fannin County is charging right now. And that's to give us a little cushion. And I'm going to explain to you in the budget why I'm needing that little cushion.
I like 12 cents better.
Let me ask you, just a general question around here. What would be the downside of us just setting our rates to say that our rates will match whatever Fannin County's rates are? Or our rates won't, well, not, again, I guess they're not doing it, but if we just tie our rates to theirs, what would be the
Well,
repercussions?
the difference, Charlie, in that Advanced Disposal has a contract with Fannin County. So they actually manage Fannin County's solid waste program. And they're situated right there. Our costs are a little higher than Fannin County, but you guys are the bosses. So, I mean, if you say 12 cents instead of 14, I mean, we'll live with that, but when you look at the budget that I'm proposing to you in solid waste for this next year, you'll begin to understand a little bit because, when you get ready to go into the budget,
Well, I understand, I understand the need, and I understand why. But I'm also looking at perception,
no,
and perception is everything.
I understand that side. I understand
So,
that side.
if we have to go to that, I would rather go in 2 steps over a couple of years
Agreed.
than all at once.
Okay.
And one of those couple of years came between 2. Maybe.
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 See, now here's the politician coming in.
No,
public
I didn't
service.
say why.
Oh, public service,
service.
excuse me.
I didn't say why, they're just rules that you can't do it in 22.
Well,
I don't make rules.
Well, now that's one of the reasons that I'm a proponent of doing it now. And then that gives you time to recover
And that's-
before 22.
And that's one of the reasons that I'm a proponent of doing part of it now.
So we've agreed on 12 cents tied to Fannin County. All right.
I was thinking 10, but,
Okay,
why don't we split it and say 11?
I'm fine with 10.
What would 10
I'm
be?
good with 12.
You're making up in volume.
This sounds like we're good.
Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we, let me go through my expenditure budget first, and then, if you all say, well, whatever you say is what we will do, but to explain to my friend, the chief financial officer, if they don't do 14, then we'll have to make some tweaking adjustments to the budget. But in the budget, I want you all to know that I have built in 3% salary increase for all of the solid waste employees. And then what I did is, Sandy, I just took your annualized estimates for the fringes and things like that. You'll have to adjust that. And then we get down to repairs and maintenance of vehicles and equipment. I increased that a little bit because, again, the vehicles and equipment that we have, they're getting old. Repairs and maintenance, you'll see an increase in repairs and maintenance of facilities. And this is Charlie, where we pay for pumps, you know, and things of that nature, and I bumped that a little bit too, because if we have a pump, if we have to have a pump rebuilt, Karleen and Hubert, or if we have to buy a new one, you're talking about anywhere from $7,500 to $9,000 for those pumps that are at the lift station. You know, that's where we use.
Well, speaking of that, before you go on, let me ask you, in the money that we've got calculated for a new lift station, we're talking about 2 months for that lift station. Does that money also include a couple of backups?
No, it doesn't. That's a good point. The new lift station, Charlie, one of the reasons, what the engineers tell us, the reason that we're having such difficulty with pumps and we've got to have backups and things, is that they're undersized. They're not capable of handling the volume and the frequency of the leachate pumping back up, plus the fact that, you know, the line is probably stopped up or partially stopped up. But you make a good point that we should have something built in there for a couple of spare pumps.
If we don't, we're just gonna have to buy them separately.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. We can't, and unfortunately, the pumps that we're using today, we can't use them in the new lift station.
We can't use it for anything at all, can we?
We might be able to trade them or sell them or something like that.
That would be good. Sorry for
Okay.
interrupting.
Now, on the second page of the budget, folks, you see a dramatic increase in contract services. And this is, contract services is where we pay advanced disposal or whomever to dispose of our waste. And also we pay our environmental engineers for the monitoring that they do, methane, groundwater, leachate, all of those things. And we know that there's going to be an increase in advanced disposals charges next year.
I thought the contract went through,
It does go through 21, Hubert, but the increases are graduated yearly during that 5 years. So we've got an increase coming in 21. But,
30,000
yeah.
increase,
Yeah, we're having a problem finding that.
130,000 increase. It's got the fourth up from the bottom of the first.
So, let's see, solid waste.
I thought solid waste was 25.
Well, I may have,
It's, if you look at
24.
sorry, I may
20.
have numbers in there wrong.
2019,
Okay, I see it.
the actual, $454,000 for contract services that year. So we're looking at about $100,000 increase. And that's with the anticipated volume growth that I've shown you year after year after year, and the anticipated rates. Now, the other item that that should, I know will jump out to you, is in general supplies and material, $35,000 versus what Sandy's annualized number this year, 4,000. What we have, folks, 2 of our shacks, our convenience center shacks, are, I mean, they're they're in such bad shape that they've got to be replaced. The reason that I put it in supplies and materials is because I have a manager and I have two guys that are very handy with hammer and nails and building. So what Randy has proposed to me, and I couldn't argue with him, is that during the wintertime months this year, or well, when the budget is adopted, they're willing to build those buildings in the maintenance shop that we have up there. Put them on runners just like you would buy a portable building, because that's really what they are. And if we, and I've said yes, so we would eat up, that's where that $35,000, we would actually build those buildings. We've got to replace the one at the landfill and the one at Cartier. I mean, they are literally on the ground, folks, and not real, I don't want to say unsafe, but it's not real safe for our attendants to occupy.
Now, you're talking about the ones that the one attendant stays in and monitors the money that put in and gets received.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so not a huge building, but
Right. So that's the reason that I bumped the supplies and materials to $35,000, because Randy would be buying all of the building materials. I've already checked with planning and zoning that the building that we would build is exempt, so we wouldn't have to have permits and things of that nature. So I've told him, you know, if you guys approve it, go to it.
in those particular buildings, what do we use for heating and cooling?
We use electric right now.
Little space heater.
Yeah, it's space, Karleen, it's space heaters hung on the wall, you know, electric. Now, in addition to that, and again, it's in supplies and materials, those convenience centers, the landfill and Cartier, they have no sewage facilities. They have no restrooms. As a matter of fact, we only have two that have restrooms. We have portable portalets out there for those attendants to utilize during the day. What we will propose to do, and we're gonna replace 2 a year if this is successful. What we would propose to do is, as we're building these things, that we put restroom facilities in them instead of the portalets, because it's not real sanitary.
How you gonna cook it to sewer system?
What we would have to do, Hubert, at Cartier, is we'd have to install a septic tank and field line. At the landfill, we already have a septic system and field line, so we would be able to connect it. But these others, we would have the same thing. Hubert, you weren't with us at the time that we replaced the scale house. I don't know if you ever saw the old scale house, but it was down in a hole.
Right.
And what we did was we got it out of the hole, and we installed, with environmental health approval, we installed a small septic tank and field line to serve that building, and we feel pretty sure that we can do the same thing for these other buildings as well.
I got to, I don't know if I should say give credit or what, to whoever envisioned the initial septic system for that building. But as I recall, once we got that building out of there, it consisted of a big old barrel,
It was a drum. It was a
Big old drum.
55-gallon drum.
big old drum, and no field lines. Just a big old 55
That's
gallon
what it
drum.
was?
Yeah.
Karleen, we've uncovered so many things.
Oh, I am
It'd
sure.
take us
I
a
am
year
sure.
to tell you what.
But so that building doesn't have, that building does have a bathroom then?
Yes.
At
The scale house building.
At the landfill?
Yes.
So can they not just use that restroom?
They do now.
Well, we do that a little bit, but because of COVID, we've tried to keep people separated, you know, and stuff like that. Now, there's they use that restroom now, but there's still a portable facility sitting out there next to the convenience center.
Tim, I've said for a long time, private business can do something cheaper than government. I find that to be generally true. Have you thought about buying these little buildings?
I have, and we actually experienced it. And to buy that building, which is, we have one at Kusawati right now, $10,000.
And you consider all your, how much is it gonna cost you to build it?
We think that we can build, now, of course, we're not counting labor in
No,
We-
I'm talking about the total cost, including labor. See,
it.
what
We
you're telling
think,
me-
we think we can build them for about $8,000 total cost.
You're not allocating any of your time, anything like that, administrative overhead. It's just something to keep in mind sometimes.
Well, the reason Randy came up with the idea is that wintertime is kind of the slow time. We're not cutting grass. We still have to keep the dumpsters and things compacted. We have two maintenance people over there, and Randy himself. And I'm pretty confident that the guys can do it.
Why don't they can do it? Do it just,
No, lay it out there,
it's
bud.
free, you know.
Yeah. But to save, you know, if we save a couple $1,000s, you know, I'm for that.
I'm assuming that the pertinent consideration here is that in the winter, in the off-season, these folks may be actually looking for something to do. And therefore, the time they spend on this might have been time that they would have spent, I hate to say it, but maybe just sitting around.
That's right. No, you're exactly right, Charlie. I mean, bad weather, winter, things like that, I mean, they're looking for something to do.
On the one hand, you can build exactly what you want.
You can, Karleen, you can build, you can make it what you want instead of trying to retrofit
Right.
somebody else's building to fit your size,
Right.
you know.
If the person can really.
I got confidence in my people.
And they're not pulling them from some other job that they
No.
should be doing.
And if we came back, if something happened, God forbid, if we had another breakdown at the lift station or the force main or something like that occupied all, I'd be coming back to Charlie and I'd be saying, Charlie, we don't have the time to do it. But that's the reason that I've got $35,000 in supplies and materials.
salaries and wages.
Yes, sir.
You said a 3% salary increase, but that line has increased 13%.
Well, one of the things, and I'm not fussing at Sandy.
Wow,
But-
did you hear that? He's not fussing at me.
But.
Yeah. In Sandy's annualized numbers, what she uses is she uses numbers from July. And if we have a vacancy or if we're not fully staffed, things like that, that doesn't show up in Sandy's numbers. She's looking at actual numbers, but may not be a fully staffed solid waste department.
I'm looking at amended budget to requested budget, not looking at actual. 13% increase over this year's budget.
335 to 379.
Did you add any additional people for
Well,
2021?
we added
Yeah,
additional
some to build
people.
a house.
Yeah.
We
Just
have,
kidding.
we have one person out right now on long-term family medical leave. Key parts at Hubert. We have another lady, Rita, that you know at Cartier, that is out, that requires us to actually fill in for these people, and they're out long-term. We just had Nikki Turner on long-term medical leave, and these things don't show up in Sandy's numbers. So it 3%. Hubert, I may have fudged a little bit, but I always like to give myself wiggle room. 3% is what I'm recommending that all solid waste employees receive.
So instead of 379, you're recommending something substantially less. If you're talking about 3%.
I'm recommending $325,000.
I'm seeing 379.
Yeah,
I'm
that's what I
seeing
said.
379.
On salary and wages?
Salaries and wages, 325.
Are we on waste collection?
We're on solid waste?
You want solid waste?
Where'd I get
Waste,
379?
solid waste collection.
Yes, I have 379.
See, I don't have, okay, well, let's change, what is your number that
325.
you've got there? I don't know.
What does that show?
That's less
the
than
budget?
last year's number. Than last year's.
Salaries and wages.
Budget.
Now what you're doing is you're taking administrative salary, my salary, and you're adding to that.
No.
That, no?
No.
Well, how are you getting, this is what we sent you,
Says
Sandy Lou.
379. Oh, wait.
Yeah, I thought I pulled all the numbers straight from what you gave me, but I may have transposed a number there or something, I don't know.
So you're requesting less than the current year budget?
Change that number like this.
No. Sure.
I-
Time out, right?
325, you
I'm
know,
perplexed. I've got those sheets.
325 is what I'm requesting, and that was with the 3% increase.
But you see what
The
I'm...
current year budget. See, I didn't have anything to do with that year, the 2020 budget. And if you look, the current year budget request, 335, annualized estimate was only 277.
You're right, that could have been thrown in there.
So I don't know what you, see, I'm kind of in the dark on 2020 budgets, folks.
Well,
Gotcha.
but now I'm showing annualized 299.
Right.
I'm showing 277. Sandy, are we looking at the right
Should be.
numbers?
I'm trying to find my email where you sent that to me so I can pull up Now, let me say this. Jim, because he is so persuasive, was the very first person to get his budget spreadsheets before anybody else did. I may have done a little bit of tweaking after I sent you those original copies as I was finishing up all the others.
Okay.
So that could explain if there were any differences, but I don't know why there would be that big of a difference.
So bottom line is your request of 325.
Bottom line, I'm requesting
You really
325.
don't care beyond that,
That
right?
works for me?
I just want to make sure that,
Right.
Until, now, I may come back tomorrow and say, hey, folks, I'm sorry, I messed up. But I don't think I did, unless something changed, Sandy, from the time that you sent us this.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I sent y'all yours really
Yeah.
early because you were wanting to get started on
Right,
them.
right.
And I still had some work to do on, like, some of the
But
other things. So it could be that I did make a change or two after I sent you that copy.
in conclusion, you'll see that our anticipated operating budget for solid waste for 21 would be $1,151,000. That will be the highest budget that,
which is different than what we had.
that, you got a different
Well,
number.
that's because of that, I guess that issue on the salary and
I'll
wage
be the
line.
chairman and Sandy and Jim to work this out. We can-
Sorry, I just,
Yeah, we can.
Okay, so the salary and wage line, let me see what you've got. And then I'll bring it back.
No,
no,
matter of fact, I've got a,
Okay, no, here's what you, if you look at that very first line on y'all spreadsheet is 26,749,
Right.
correct? Okay.
No, 269,000. Wait, which
The
one?
the administration salary,
Oh, yes. Okay.
26,749?
Correct.
Okay, the reason there is the difference,
No. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you said on the first. You said first line, I think.
Yes. on the administration salary, that first line, it's 26,749. I think what happened is y'all had somebody else in that admin salary line, and that is only you. I think you may have
remember I
had,
asked you about that.
yeah, but you've got 54,000 here,
Yeah, that
so,
was Kathy Shiner.
but she wouldn't fall under,
She shouldn't?
wouldn't fall under administration.
No.
So
You-
what I did was on your
You
sheet
took it
here,
out.
I took it out and moved it down to that second line.
Okay.
So that's why he's got the difference.
So 379 is correct?
Yes, it should be because,
379 would be,
Including whoever that person is.
yeah, 379, 080, what y'all have there should be correct.
Okay, so that is a 13% increase.
Or it's moving that other person who she was last
It's
year's
moved,
into the other.
Right, because in each budget, the only person that is included on the administration salary line is either the elected official or the department head. Everybody else is in just the plain salary and wages.
Let me ask you,
So
though,
that's why we got that.
when you moved Kathy, now Susan, I guess, when you moved Kathy down to the salary and wages line, under requested, did you also move her down across the board, all the way across?
Good point.
On the taxes and everything?
Oh, on the
No,
previous.
No, just on the salary and wages.
Oh, no, I didn't. She's on that, that's only been
So
changed
that's
in
why
that
it would
request I
take a
called.
bigger increase.
Right.
then,
Right.
Because it's reflected on one side of the equation and not the other.
Y'all can work that out.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But those first two lines should be correct, 26,749, and then $379,080. And if you add the numbers on Jim's spreadsheet, that's what you get. So,
okay.
we should be good.
You'll have to explain it to me.
I'll explain it.
But now, see, I heard Charlie mention Susan. Susan is my administrative assistant, but she's not paid out of administration. salaries and wages.
But she's the new Kathy though, right?
She is the new Kathy, but, and Kathy had her wages spread between solid waste, road department, and maintenance shop, because that's what I, now, do you have Susan? Is Susan in the road department 100%? Or is she spread through those other two departments?
That's a payroll thing. I would
That's a payroll
say,
thing.
yeah, I'll have to pull it up in payroll, because I don't know how it's broken down.
Okay.
Well,
Well, that can be the difference, my dear.
since we ain't started the road department yet, and we're getting close to another person coming, let's work that out.
Yeah. She comes at 3:30, but I'm sure we have 30 minutes of road department.
But we'll make sure, now, you do want Susan spread across, right?
Yeah, because her work is spread between those.
We'll work that out offline.
See, that is something, I just get payroll at the tail end. I don't
I
know the
understand.
employees and stuff and see
I'm
how
not
they're
fussing.
split up, so
I'm not
I will
fussing.
look and see.
Okay.
I trust you.
On the
Thank
solid
you,
waste,
Jimbo.
I like
Give
the
me my
12
sheet back.
the 12 cents, because then it means Fannin won't come dump their trash here, like they're doing now, correct?
Karleen, yes.
So-
We've had,
That's just my
as
opinion on
far
that.
as Cherokee County coming and dumping their
We're
sand.
paying a lot to dump those
Pickens
loads every
County,
time they're full.
Fannin, Murray, I mean,
Let me ask you this then. And I'll tell you, the only problem I have with 12 cents is, you might even say it's semantics, but that is double. If we went with 11 cents, the difference in money for us would be relatively little. The difference between that and doubling it would be relatively little, but there's still that perception thing.
I'm fine if you want to go.
11, would 11 work for you?
I'm not gonna argue with 11. I think it should be 12. I'm just saying my opinion of 12 would be Fannin, and that we haven't increased
Y'all
it in
are the
11
bosses.
years. But obviously, it's fine.
But now I am also talking about there'd be another increase down the road. All I'm saying is let's do it in 2 steps instead of 1.
Yeah.
But
But if
now-
it's closer, if it's 11, at least that's closer, and then it might not be worth that penny for them to come dump here
It
for
shouldn't be,
Fannin.
let me ask you this now, just so if you reduce the rate, and you reduce the rate reduces the revenue, then that means that in order for me to stay at this expenditure level, then more of the taxpayer has to go into solid waste.
You are exactly right.
See, and that's one of the things, that in my 50 years, folks, solid waste has always been a service fee-based service. It's not taxpayer paid for, it's paid for by the rates that you charge. But I hear what you're saying. Perception is a lot of it, but you'll have, unless you say, Jim, reduce your expenditures, then the taxpayer is gonna have to put more into solid waste in order for it to stay. Now, obviously, I can go back. I'm a good soldier. You say reduce the expenditures, I'll go back and I'll cut them. But that's what I'm trying to do too, is I'm trying to narrow that, get that gap as close to being self-sufficient as we can possibly be in solid waste, to take it off of the back of the taxpayer.
But the taxpayers are already.
They're already paying.
It's just, we're reducing what they're going to be paying.
We're trying to
That's the way I
reduce.
look at it.
And
It's not reducing it as much one way as we would.
Yeah, if you go 11%, and then we look at it next year when we get our increase from waste management, or
Vance.
whoever,
Yeah.
then we can decide. Would you increase
I'd
it
rather do
next
12 cents and look at it next year.
Hey, I'm all for 12 cents.
What are you gonna do? Seriously,
What are they gonna say? They nearly doubled it, or they doubled it? Really?
Well, and I wouldn't propose.
we won't be announcing it until after the election this year, so it's going to be 15 cents.
You're
not
right,
this
you're
year,
right,
that's
yeah,
what I'm worried
doesn't
about.
matter.
And I may
wouldn't
not be
propose
worried about
These
this.
rates go in place until the new budget year, but, you know.
So,
At
yeah,
12 cents, how close can you get to what you need to be without any devastating cuts in services?
You mean without additional taxpayer contributions to solid waste?
No, we understand that at 12 cents, there'll be some, there'll still be some
I
taxpayer
can get
contributions.
close. I can get close.
And if anybody is upset about it, some people will be, you just have to experience it. You know, you can pay it here, or you can pay it over here.
Pay-
in property
yeah.
taxes.
Yeah,
You know.
and if you're
And
not
this
using.
way, you're getting some help by some folks.
Yeah.
So, you know, I can go with it.
However he wants to rationalize it.
Okay.
And
Well,
be able to
I
figure
do-
out how to say.
I do feel
Yeah.
like we need to be able to rationalize.
Yeah,
it.
yeah, I mean, what you feel comfortable about saying. I don't mind saying. We haven't raised our prices in however many years, 11 years.
Well, that'll be part
And
of it too.
we're just catching up with everybody else. And people are dumping trash in our, and it's costing us because every time they pull it.
I was just
I got it.
surprised.
We're not doing anything.
I was just surprised at the amount of the increase from 6 to 14 cents.
It's because,
You had not hinted at that.
it's because we ignored his hints the last 2 years.
Yeah.
I didn't want to give it to y'all at one time, Charlie.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate that.
But anyway, we'll work it out and make the adjustments. But if I were a politician, and I would say, hey, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get that solid waste department closer to being self-sufficient, because now we're supporting Murray County, Fannin County, Pickens County. You know, you got all of these outside interests coming in. It would actually
Then our
be better
taxpayers pay for
for us if the volume went down. You know, we would actually save money if the volume went down, but I don't see that happening.
Well, it would be better for us assuming that the decrease in volume was what was coming from other counties. If it went down because people here decided it
Oh,
was too
yeah,
expensive,
yeah.
Yeah.
that's not a good thing.
No, no,
Correct.
I agree with
Correct.
that.
And that's not something we have to decide right now. And we can still hash all that out in our regular budget talks when we're finalizing everything. But I wouldn't oppose to it.
Okay.
That gets solid waste. Now, the only other thing that I wanted to point out to you, Mr. Chairman, and you all, the only capital item that I have in the solid waste department is the lift station in Force Main. And, you know, we know what the DNR grant is. We know what the engineer's estimate was. So we've got $526,000 there in capital for the lift station.
That's the only thing.
That's the only thing.
I would point out too that when we're getting right down to the nitty gritty of the thing, making the final decisions, you know, we have a pot of M&O money, and we have a pot of capital money. If the M&O money is really getting tight, the capital's not so tight. Those two buildings that you're talking about, building, could come from capital as easily
They
as
could,
M&O.
they could.
And that's not something we have to decide until we see how this falls out. Now, one thing too, I want to make sure that everybody is okay with. We've got a number of things in the capital budget that will not be achieved by December 31st. Prime example is the lift station. We've got, what, 525 in there now? Actually, it'll be a little less with the revision that I'm gonna give y'all tomorrow. But, my feeling on what we've got in capital right now is that anything that's in there that hasn't been completed this year, but also has not been determined, we're not gonna do it, needs to simply carry over in 21.
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Is that enough on solid waste?
Oh, that's more.
Ready to go, ready to go to roads and bridges? Okay, roads and bridges, again, the 3% on salaries and wages. Now, Sandy, you may have the same problem with administration salaries there, dear. You may have to tweak that.
3.5%, that's what it calculates to.
You're too fast.
Maybe that's extra.
Okay.
Well,
Now,
it's supposed to be, yeah.
and one of the things that I want to point out to you, right now, I am 6 people short in the road department and 1 person short in the maintenance shop, my lead mechanic, and I have 6 people, a truck driver that retired, 1 that was diagnosed with cancer that had to quit or be placed on long-term FMLA. And so the numbers that Sandy is showing here, you know, annualized, she's annualized it based on 7/31. I didn't have a full staff. I have not had a full staff this entire year. So there are positions, what I'm saying, there are positions there that I've tried to build into that 930,000.
So the annualized is under-reported.
Under-reported, yes.
Okay. Would you say that the 898 amended budget would be relatively close for where it is right now, or where it should be annualized?
Probably, yeah, probably closer.
Well, one of the things that I would like to accomplish in the 21 budget, let me back up. Every year for the last several years, we've concentrated on one specific area to try to bring wages up, maybe at a higher level than 3% for that particular group. Because we were so, in every department, we were so very far behind everybody else. I would like, and obviously I'm speaking for myself here, I would like for 21 to be the year that we're doing this for the road budget in all aspects, from salary to capital allotment, the whole works. With that in mind, and I don't have a figure here, and won't have until we sit down and compare revenues and see what we've got. I would simply say that I hope that we're able to give more than a 3% increase in the road department.
So that we can keep and fill those positions.
So that we can keep, and particularly so we can fill. And I don't think just an increase in salary will do it in terms of filling the jobs. We're gonna have to get creative with other things, and I don't know what at this point, but I would like to propose a higher figure than 3%. Just don't know what, and won't know until we're really looking at the overall picture. We'd like to do the same thing for, in the capital budget, where we talk about, stone, line item, we talk about, anything to do with, graveling, grading.
Well, Charlie, I've increased the stone purchases pretty substantial in the road department.
The increase that you put in, is it enough to do what we did this year, or is it enough to do what we did this year and then some?
Do what we did this year and then some.
Okay, good. That's what I'm looking for myself.
Yeah.
I would like to, if we had a situation where we decided that the really smart thing to do would be to tar and chip this mile instead of keep going back over and over and over. I'd like for us to be able to do that without necessarily having to depend on the LMIG to be able to do it.
Absolutely.
So, hopefully, when we look at the whole picture, we'll be able to beef up the road department in terms of being able to hire who we need and be able to buy the material necessary to do what we need.
I was going to suggest, or express a hope that we could do something more on salaries in the road department. So I like what you're saying.
And I think we will be able to, it's just that, until we really,
The sheriff just doesn't know
the
yet,
sheriff just doesn't know yet. So,
Mum's the word.
and, we have to
I
be saying.
mean, come on, we've got to.
I just do what y'all.
But let me tell you, I had a conversation with the sheriff a while back, and I told him that we would like to concentrate on the roads this year. He wasn't gonna get 10 automobiles, and I guess it was maybe 3 or 4 days later, I was at the airport and Jim was there, and he said, yeah, I saw Stacy, and he told me he wasn't gonna get the cars because I was getting all his stuff he's getting.
Yeah, I mean, Charlie is, well, he spread the word throughout. I've had other departments, other than Stacy.
If Stacy's done your work.
You're the reason, Jim, you're the reason Charlie said.
We have set expectations.
Yeah.
I think that's what you did when you first got elected too. You came in and really had to, because there was no other option. But we're to that point again where we really need to focus. I completely agree.
Well, people's priorities change. And I think there's been a definite change in the last year toward wanting to put more interest in roads. So,
Which basically asks the question, where do we stand on road paving?
We're paving.
Where we're gonna finish before cold weather, you think?
We're pushing, yeah.
I really hope we can.
Yeah. And Hubert, we've done this in years past, although now we may have to avoid some days, but we have paved up through December and January.
Good.
So, yeah, we're pushing. We will finish Pleasant Gap Circle today. Tomorrow, we start setting up and getting ready for that 1 mile, Charlie, at Turnip Town Road, right along the creek. That is going to be a bear. Because traffic control is going to be the biggest problem there. Trying to let people in and out because it's only 1 lane wide. But, yeah, no, we're moving on paper.
I forgot that from the achievement.
So the total operating budget that I'm presenting to you, commissioners, is $2,149,000.
The chairman's gonna work on that.
Yeah. Now, can we talk about capital budget for the road department?
yes.
What I have in front of you there is the equipment that in addition to the three pieces that I've been authorized under the CARES Act. These pieces of equipment, and Charlie, I have prioritized them like you
That was my
asked.
question.
Number one, right down the list. Top item is the first priority, second is the dump truck, right down the list.
Wouldn't it be a great day when we don't need the motor grader, because we have to pay for them?
Well, that'd be wonderful, but it never comes.
Well, I, at this point, I have no idea what we're gonna look like on capital.
I know that, and I just wanted to give you something there. Charlie and I have talked about it, give you something to massage.
Now, the pothole patcher relies on a single axle dump truck,
That's
right?
correct.
But the salt spreaders are between the pothole patcher and.
Well, Charlie, the salt spreaders, if you said to me, Jim, which is, the pothole patcher is a higher priority than the salt spreaders, but if we had our salt spreaders, we may make it one more winter, and that's it. Now, we could get by with the existing single axle dump truck for another year. The pothole patcher would be first. I'd buy it before I bought the truck.
Okay, I just was under the impression that they needed to go together.
I mean, the existing Chevrolet truck, it's
They do it.
39 years old. It'll pull a new pothole patcher just like it would have used for.
For 1 more year. All right, now that answers. What does that say what we got to work with?
Any questions, Hubert, Karleen?
I'm good on roads and bridges.
The easy one, the maintenance shop, again, 3% in salaries and wages. I do not know why Sandy doesn't spread my salary in the maintenance shop.
Your salary is split 40% solid waste, 60% road department.
I-
'Cause, I mean, if we get into 10% here and 5% there,
Okay.
Diane Thomas is gonna
I just
clean my
asked the
plow.
question. You know, it's pretty cut and dry. The one thing that I do want to point out to you in the capital budget, and this was in year before last, and for some reason, we didn't get it in last year, and that is a heavy-duty motor transmission lift for the maintenance shop. It was pointed out to us, the last insurance survey inspection that we had, that we needed that piece of equipment in the maintenance shop. Now, what we're using is the old-fashioned chain and hoist and stuff like that. So that is the only capital item that I've got in the maintenance shop, and it needs to be bought.
Sandy's salary and wages, 10.7% increase, so, you know,
I'll double check those lines on all of these.
cover that, I mean,
I don't have anything else.
Thank you, folks.
Now,
Thank you, John.
to your point you just made about the heavy duty lift,
Yeah.
we had that budgeted for 2020 on capital. There's $10,000 sitting
So
there.
we just carry it over.
Just carry it over then.
Or go ahead and order it.
Go ahead and get
I
it.
can. can, I can buy it from Northern Tube tomorrow.
Well, the money's here. So there you go.
Okay.
We'll take that out of capital for 2021. I was thinking that sounded familiar, so I pulled up last year's.
Well, I knew we had budgeted it, but I thought probably we just
Removed it.
removed it somehow.
Well, I apologize to you all for last year, I mean, but,
Oh, you don't
we'll
have to
get better,
No.
I promise.
We're on the right track.